Earth. But the shuttle had a strict quota system, no groundhogs, and she had to leave him behind. They comforted each other with the lie that he would join her when the trouble was over. But the warheads were already falling. She knew that she was one of the lucky ones, but when they docked at Nu, she was still numb with shock and grief. Two men who loved her were waiting. She could hardly remember their names. For some weeks after the war, life in Nu was too desperately busy for much reflection. Survivors from a couple of dozen other worlds had to be crowded in, and everybody somehow be fed, though more than half of Nu's agricultural modules had been damaged or destroyed. The shotgun missiles couldn't penetrate Nu's solid rock, but they devastated the structures outside. They got by on short rations and stored food, but it wasn't going to last. Modules had to be repaired and rebuilt, new crops sown, animals bred, and quickly. Every able-bodied person was pressed into service. O'Hara was young and hyper-educated, had her first PhD at age 20, but none of her formal training was applicable. Like every other young person in Nu, she had spent 2 days a week since the age of 12 doing agricultural and construction chores. But since her destiny clearly lay in other directions, she had only done dog work, slopping hogs and slopping paint, leaving more sophisticated chores to those who needed the training. Nevertheless, her first assignment was animal husbandry, collecting sperm from goats. They could force estrus in the nannies and didn't want to leave the rest of it up to nature. So O'Hara stalked through the goat pens with a suction apparatus, checking ID numbers until she found the one billy the computer had selected for a given nanny. Predictably, the billies were not enthusiastic about having sexual relations with a female of another species, so O'Hara got thoroughly butted and trampled and sprayed. It did keep her mind off her troubles, but after a week of low sperm count, they decided to give the job to someone with more mass. She asked for a job in construction and was mildly surprised when she got it. She'd spent many hours playing in zero gravity, but always indoors, and had never even worn a spacesuit, let alone worked in one. She looked forward to the experience, but was a little apprehensive about working in a vacuum. She was even more apprehensive after her training, 1 day inside and 1 day out. Virtually, all of the training concerned what to do in case of emergency. If you hear this chime, it's a solar flare warning. Don't panic. You have 8 minutes to get to a radiation locker. If you hear this chime, your air pressure is falling. Don't panic. You have 2 minutes at least to get to the nearest first aid bubble. Unless you're also getting cold, which means your suit's breached. Above all, don't panic. Have your buddy find the breach and put a sticky patch on it. Never be too far from your buddy. Presumably, your buddy will not panic. She and 30 others practiced patching and not panicking, and then were given work rosters and unceremoniously dumped out the airlock. With no special construction skills, O'Hara's work was mostly fetch and carry. This required a certain amount of delicacy and intelligence. You get around in a spacesuit with the aid of an oxygun, oxygen being the only gas of which the world's always had a surplus. It's just an aimable nozzle connected to a supply of compressed oxygen. You point it in one direction and hold down the trigger, and you go in approximately the opposite direction. Only approximately. O'Hara and her buddy would get an order, say for a girder of such and so specifications. They would locate the proper stack on their map and cautiously, very cautiously, the first few days, jet their way over to it. The stacks were loose bundles of material that got less orderly as time went on. Once they found the right girder, the fun began. Those girders waited.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.